Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at Apologia Center. This is Arthur Asadurian. I want to break something down here before we get into today's video. I know there's a lot of apologetics content out there on the internet, especially on YouTube. There are amazing apologists. Those who are professional in the sense like professional academics who have apologetics channels and are producing content. And I just want to encourage you guys to make use of that. So it benefits you, your ministry, your church, and everything that comes with that. Since there's so much content out there, and since my channel is pretty new, it was a difficult question for me to ask as to what kind of apologetics content do I want to produce, what's out there, and then what's actually going to set me apart. And so one of the things I decided I was going to do is do apologetics in a very general kind of way. So instead of producing arguments and things of that sort, even though I will do that and I do that, I want to give an apologetic for the Christian worldview. And as you have noticed, I have given content. I've produced content that deals with politics and our society, and then try to comment on them from a Christian worldview. One of the things that I really enjoy about apologetics is the value it's brought to my life. And what I mean by that is the value it's brought to my life, not only as a Christian, not only someone who strives to think like an academic. I can't say I am an academic, but I try to think like one and try to think like a scholar. And so, but apart from that, it's brought me value into my life, in my family, the way I parent, the way I relate to my wife, the way I relate to my friends and my church community, and the job of the church within the Christian community. That is all important. And so I decided I was going to do something. I decided I was going to reach out to some of my friends and acquaintances and ask them to record a very simple video to mention one or two things about how apologetics has impacted them in their life, in their ministry, just the general impact that it's had. In this video, there's probably going to be a part 2 of this video. I'm still waiting for some people to respond to me. But in part 1 of this, we have 5 thinkers, apologists, academics, people who are involved in kind of the spectrum of Christian work, giving us a breakdown of how apologetics has impacted them. As we go through these videos, you're going to see little cards pop up at the top, and you can click them, and those will take you to the YouTube channels, to the websites, all of the information that the people involved in this video are producing, whether it's their websites, their YouTube channels, and everything else that comes with that is going to be in the description. So make sure you check out the description, go subscribe to their channels, follow the content they're producing, because it's really going to benefit your life. Just in totality, it's going to benefit your life. The first person that we're going to hear from is a very respected scholar, has written amazing works, especially on the resurrection, has produced content on the resurrection. So without taking some more of your time, I'm going to go to our first guest, Dr. Mike Licona.
As a result of my work in Christian apologetics, I've personally benefited in some maturation of my critical thinking skills. Work in Christian apologetics requires you to look at arguments, philosophical, scientific, historical arguments for God's existence, for the truth of Christianity, such as Jesus' resurrection, the reliability of the Gospels. And so I'm considering pro and con arguments alike and assessing those and interacting with those. And so that helped me mature in my critical thinking skills. Another benefit was the tightening and strengthening of the case that I can present for, let's say, the resurrection of Jesus. And I did this through being engaged in public debates. There's a lot of pressure that can be involved, a lot of responsibility in public debate, because I'm worried about instilling doubts in believers. I want to be able to strengthen their faith. I want to be able to persuade non-believers to give serious consideration to becoming a follower of Jesus, because Christianity is true. So I found that as I began interacting and prepared to interact publicly with the arguments of some of the leading skeptical thinkers out there, that I needed to take their arguments seriously, examine them, and I came to find that some of the arguments that I would give when I was just preaching to the choir, that they may not work so well in debate because my opponent was going to have some decent arguments or counter arguments. And so again, it helped me tighten my case because I recognized that some of the arguments that I would typically present to an only Christian audience, that those may not stand up in public debate. And so I don't use those arguments anymore for that reason. So the two major benefits to me personally, as a result of being in Christian apologetics, is it has helped mature my critical thinking skills, and it has helped me tighten my arguments for the truth of Christianity.
Man, one of the things that Mike mentions in this video is the pressure and the difficulty there is on him and some others that are going into the public domain to debate, and having this, I guess, healthy fear of making sure that you have thought through your content really well, because you don't want it to be a reason for someone to actually walk away from the faith. So again, because there is such pressure, I want to encourage you guys to pray for people like Mike himself, who are on the front lines, giving a defense, writing books, so those of us in the general population would benefit from that. So thanks a lot, Mike. Thank you. Appreciate your work. And again, if you want to check out Mike's work, it's in the description box. Go there. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's creating some really, really awesome content. So thanks again, Mike. The next person that's up, Tyson James. Tyson James is the global director for the Reasonable Faith chapters, and he works with translation. He's been of great help for the work that we've been doing in Armenia. He has tried to help us in every single way possible. We have been able to translate 4 articles already by Dr. William Lane Craig into Armenian. And hopefully in the near future, we'll be producing some of the videos in Armenian and some more translations into Armenian. So again, Tyson, thanks, man. Thanks for your friendship. Thank you for the value you've brought to ministries beyond Reasonable Faith. So let's hear what Tyson has to say.
Hi, I'm Tyson James, Global Chapters Director and Director of Translations for Reasonable Faith. 2 basic life lessons that I learned from studying apologetics are, number 1, that no one is in this alone. And this is especially speaking of studying apologetics and the life of the mind. I grew up in the church, and I attended a lot of small churches growing up, and the life of the mind was not valued, it seemed, like in most of these churches. And so I asked a lot of tough questions, and very few people could either give me answers to those questions or point me in the direction of resources that could. So it was very frustrating. I felt alone a lot of the time. I started studying apologetics while I was in the military during my late 20s. And so when I started studying this area, I found Christian scholars that had done amazing research, and they were providing excellent answers and plausible explanations to a lot of the questions that I had. And so these scholars cited other scholars, and so I would chase down those resources as well. And after a while, I found myself swimming in a sea of amazing Christian scholarship, these people that had spent decades and decades doing research in their fields and distilling their insights down into consumable forms that I was able to understand. And so it was great to know that there were other people who not only thought about the same questions that I was thinking, but had also done the research that I didn't have the time and resources to do on my own. And so I felt sort of a fellowship with these people because they were providing something that I really needed. When I started entering the field of apologetics and doing research and writing and doing videos and things, it truly felt like I was part of a team, that it was a team effort, and that there were tons of people contributing to this team. And so that first point there, the first life lesson was that no one is in this alone. The second life lesson that I learned was the importance of philosophy. When I was growing up, I graduated college and high school and college, I didn't have a single class in philosophy. And so it didn't seem like during my education many people thought it was that important. When I started to study apologetics, I quickly realized that philosophy was super important. And it was really apologetics that was my introduction to philosophy. I realized that the tools of philosophy used in apologetics in order to provide justification for the truth of Christianity, those tools were also useful in all aspects of life. And so I have carried that love of philosophy into everything that I do because it has helped me think clearly in whatever task or area of life that I'm in. Philosophy has also given me a greater appreciation of the Bible, what it teaches, what it doesn't teach, learning to think clearly about the teachings of the Bible. Philosophy gives those tools, and I don't think that good theology can be done without philosophy. As soon as you say that something is theologically true, you're also making a philosophical statement because you're saying that something is true in theology and whatever else is outside of that is not true. So philosophy helped me to have a greater appreciation of the Bible. And then finally, on the importance of philosophy, I had a lot of questions about the attributes of God and how they could be reconciled with certain aspects of reality and even with themselves, certain attributes with themselves. And so philosophy gave me the tools to see plausible reconciliations regarding the nature of God and certain aspects of reality with that nature. And so having those explanations led to a greater worship of God because a lot of those tensions were resolved. And I also had a much grander vision of who God was that wasn't afforded to me without the tools of philosophy. So those are the two basic life lessons that I learned from studying apologetics.
Thank you for that, Tyson. Appreciate it. Man, what an encouragement, right? I totally feel you. I totally agree with you that, when you really get into the depth of the content we have, at least in the English-speaking world, you really feel supported. You don't feel like you are alone because, again, there's so much content out there. Not just in like books, not only in written form, but now in the last maybe 5 years, we've had such an amazing production of videos, high quality videos that break down things very well, and they're available everywhere. Ministries just popping up left and right. You really get a sense of every single one of us are working together for this cause, for the cause of Christ. I mean, it is really the church global working with one another so that we will win the world for Christ. So it is so important to realize that you're not alone out there. If you feel alone, I want to encourage you guys, reach out to us, right? I know every single one of the guys here that are included in this video. If you reach out to them, they're going to give you some kind of a response. For some of them, some of us are busier than others. So it might take some time, but leave comments, man. Go into the videos like this video. Just leave a comment down below. Share your ideas, share your thoughts. Tell us how apologetics has actually impacted your life. But also, if you need any help going through and researching things and you want content in your hands, reach out. And I am very sure you will be able to get some kind of an answer to your question. So it is a team effort. We're all in this together because we all realize we're part of the same kingdom. We are under the same God who is leading us and guiding us to do the work that we're doing. Next up on our list, we're going to go to Dr. Corey Millar, who's the CEO and president of Ratio Christi. Ratio Christi is an organization that works on different campuses. If you are on a college campus, search it out. Go to the Ratio Christi website and see if there's a Ratio Christi chapter at your university and get involved. Because take that 1, 2, 3, 4 years, maybe some, if you were like me, 5 years at your university level to grow and strengthen your faith. We realize that it is very difficult being a college student. You're coming across a lot of information that is challenging, especially challenging to your faith, maybe challenging to your faith at a level where the youth group you went through and the church you were at didn't really equip you to deal with these things. Ratio Christi is a ministry that's going to help you do that. So Dr. Corey Millar, take it away.
Hi, my name is Corey Millar, and I'm the president and CEO of Ratio Christi Campus Apologetics Alliance. Apologetics has played an incredibly important role in my life. What I've learned from the study of apologetics is that it actually helps develop my confidence and reliability in my relationship with God, and it gives me great passion and boldness to go out there and show the world what I know to be true from the self-authentication of the Holy Spirit. It helps create in me an activist mentality. Belief comes in degrees, and if I believe something with 51%, I'm not likely to act upon it. But if I believe it with 70 or 80 or even 90%, I'm much more likely to act upon it. And apologetics does that for me. It helps me to be able to show what I already know to be true about my relationship with God. And I am so excited to be able to communicate the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Amazing stuff, right? I mean, a lot of us, I'm not included in this list, but a lot of us were raised in the church. We started believing that Christianity is true at a very young and early age, but we didn't know how to articulate that. We didn't know how to defend that. We didn't know how to give a formal argument for Christianity. And what apologetics is going to do for you is going to help you in that. Apologetics is going to give you the tools and the ability to actually argue for what you already believe. So thank you so much, Dr. Millar. If you've made it this far, the last couple of guys are a treat for you. So keep watching. Again, if you have comments and you want to share with us how apologetics has impacted your personal life, make sure you leave a comment below. Make sure you like this video. That just helps with the YouTube algorithm. And also share it out. Dr. Mike Austin is a professor of philosophy at Eastern Kentucky University. He's written a number of books, and some of them extremely challenging for me, and challenging, I would say, to the conservative religious kind of establishment in the United States. And I really value the work that Mike Austin brings to the Christian world, because he deals with ethics and he strongly wants us as believers to live out and look like Jesus. And so Mike is producing literature. He's recently written a book on guns, God, and America, what that looks like, what the gun debate, especially amongst Christians, should look like. So make sure you check that out and check out his work. Again, check out his YouTube channel, subscribe to it, and be in a dialogue with him. So Mike, tell us how apologetics has impacted your life.
My name is Mike Austin. I'm a philosophy professor at Eastern Kentucky University. And I think one of the life lessons I would say I learned from studying apologetics is actually a reaffirmation of something I always believed, but that ideas matter. But more than that, ideas matter for the spiritual life. I think it's easy for apologists and people who care about ideas to sometimes just live in their head. But I've found that my study of apologetics and led me into study of philosophy, those things have helped me as a follower of Christ. So as I struggle with difficult questions, perhaps emotional or intellectual doubt, the lesson is that Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and I can come back to Him personally. On a related issue, I've learned that I can live with unanswered questions, right? So there's a bit of humility, I guess, that apologetics teaches you. There's always more to learn, always more to know. There will always be questions that you can't fully satisfactorily answer for yourself, and that's okay. I've learned over time, as I have the past 20, 30 years of, 35 years almost of following Jesus, that a difficult question comes up, and in my younger days, I would kind of get worked up about it. Maybe I'd be worried, I'd need to know the answer, and I still want to know answers. But after a while, when you have a difficult issue, you find a satisfactory answer, that happens over and over the years. Now I just assume the answer will be there, and there's a peace in that, a rest in that. And these are all sort of interrelated. I would say also that character matters. As well known, there are people who are apologists who can really be off-putting, blunt, abrasive, and really unloving, but that we can be both tough-minded and tender-hearted, that those things must go together because that's who Jesus was, and given that, that's who we should seek to be.
It is so difficult not knowing stuff. It bothers me, and I know it bothers a lot of you guys, to the point where we can't sleep at night. But there's such wisdom in what Mike says here, right? Not knowing information, being okay with that, being really okay with not knowing, but at the same time, realizing that there are answers out there. And even if we have a hard time with these answers, we can actually personally go to Jesus with these things. I had a professor in seminary who said, the smartest person to ever exist was Jesus. I mean, God is an all-knowing being. Why is it that we don't discuss these sorts of things with him? There's a great deal of wisdom to learn from that. And make sure the next time you're dealing with some hard stuff, take it to prayer. Talk to God about it. Ask his opinion on the subject, and see what he has to say about it. Have you guys heard of Free Thinking Ministries? If you haven't, you're about to hear Dr. Tim Stratton tell us a little about how apologetics has impacted his life.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Dr. Tim Stratton. I'm with freethinkingministries.com. Make sure to check out our website and our YouTube channel. I'm a professional apologist and theologian. I try to think philosophically and logically about theology. And I've been asked to offer a couple life lessons that I've learned from taking this academic approach to theology. What are a couple life lessons I've learned from my study of apologetics? This might surprise you, but probably the first thing that I've learned is just to embrace the joy of being wrong. That doesn't make sense when you first hear it, but I've learned to not be scared of being wrong. When I first started this journey, I wanted to see if Christianity was true. And so I said I was going to be more committed to truth than I was to Christianity. I was going to be more committed to truth than I was to the religion that I was raised thinking was true, that I was raised in, right? I was going to be more committed to truth. I was going to follow the evidence wherever it was going to lead. That's where I was going. Well, in this journey, it definitely strengthened my faith. I realized, wow, the religion in which I was raised, it is true, but there was really good reasons to believe it's true and to think all these other religions and worldviews are false. However, along the way, so many of my, let's call them sub-beliefs underneath the umbrella of Christianity is true. Many of my sub-beliefs underneath that umbrella, I realized were wrong. They were at least probably wrong, that it went against the evidence. And so, although it was uncomfortable, I started to change my mind. After all, I said I was going to be more committed to truth than I was to the prior beliefs I had. And so I changed my mind. I didn't like it at first, but then I started to realize that there's a joy when you're more committed to truth than you are to anything else. When you realize some of your previous beliefs were false, it becomes a joy to change your mind. And so when you're always devoted to truth, you've got nothing to lose. Now, I've taken that approach to other areas of my life as well, not just when it comes to theology, but on anything. Now, my wife might tell you that I don't like being proven wrong because, when you think you're right, you argue for it until you're shown that you're wrong. And occasionally, my wife shows me that I'm holding some false beliefs. So I'm giving it up to my wife right there. She's learned to argue with me and how to argue with me. And I actually enjoy being proven wrong. Because when that happens, I change my mind because I'm on the side of truth. So yeah, when you're more committed to truth than you are to anything else, you're always in a win-win situation because you're either right or you're proven wrong, and then you can change your mind and become right. So that's pretty cool. My wife actually wrote an article about this on freethinkingministries.com. You should look that up. It's kind of humorous, but there's a lot of truth to be found in her humor. Probably another thing that I've learned, maybe a life lesson I've learned from studying apologetics, is the importance of thinking logically about everything, right? Not just theology, right, but everything. So thinking logically, I mean, when feelings and emotions are so prevalent today, and it's all about how you feel, well, is that a good way to judge reality? No, it's not. I mean, we should pay attention to our feelings, but those should not rule the day. After all, our feelings are often wrong. But logic, to say that logic is false is gibberish. It doesn't even make sense. In fact, there's an article on freethinkingministries.com entitled "Logic is False," and it's actually another humorous article. I encourage you to look that up. But I've learned the importance of thinking logically about everything, not just theology. So whether it be politics, right? I want to think logically about politics. I want to think logically, not just about how a certain candidate might make me feel, but I want to think logically about politics. I want to think logically about how I parent my son, right? I want to think logically about cultural issues. So I want to think logically about everything, and my dog is trying to get my attention right now. So I need to think logically about my dog. Rondo, come here. Well, he's not being logical right now. But I encourage you to think logically about everything. Well, I need to go tend to my dog right now. So anyway, God bless, and stay reasonable.
Tim says one of the most counterintuitive things when people are doing apologetics, right? Having joy of being wrong. I mean, the whole point here, Tim, is that, we show that we're not wrong, that it is others that are wrong. But again, there's a great deal of wisdom in that. The fact of being open, being intellectually honest to the areas in which we're wrong, admitting it, replacing those beliefs if we need to replace them, and then strengthening those beliefs. Such great insight and wisdom from someone who's been there, who's changed his views. Again, if you want more information, check out freethinkingministries.com. Check out the YouTube channel. There's so much value to the stuff that Dr. Tim Stratton produces. So I highly encourage you guys to check his stuff out. I want to thank every single one of the people who helped make this video a reality and make it possible. And I want to encourage you guys as the viewer to please take advantage and realize that apologetics is not just for us to have big heads. The purpose of apologetics is not so we can beat the other guy down and show him that we're right. The purpose of apologetics is that we win people to Christ with rational arguments, with logical arguments. And as J.P. Moreland has communicated on multiple occasions, apologetics has two tasks. One of them is that it strengthens the believer. And you saw that reflected in this video. The other one is to get rid of those defenses, to get rid of those questions, those issues that the unbeliever has against Christianity, so that they would be open to the gospel, so that they would be open to this call of, hey, come follow Jesus because Christianity is true. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Again, I want to ask that you would subscribe and hit that little bell notification button so that as we produce videos, you are the first to watch it. Leave your comments below. Again, let us know how apologetics has impacted your personal life, how it's impacted you as a parent, how it's impacted you as a spouse, how it has impacted you as a student, as a friend, as a pastor. Let us know the value that apologetics has brought into your life, apart from, I know all this information now, right? And then even using it within the evangelistic kind of world. What other values has apologetics brought to your life? Thanks again. Share this video out. God bless you guys, and I will see you later.